Hello, Dr. Suggs. My name is Alexis Bowe. I'm on the Forest and Vegetation team, and today I'm going to be proposing a management plan for your property. For your first objective, trophy deer hunting for your husband, we have found that white-tailed deer are present on your property. Unfortunately, trophy deer hunting is not recommended. This is mostly due to low browse density. Another form of recreational hunting is recommended instead, hunting for feral hog. Feral hogs are invasive and are actually your second highest species to white-tailed deer. We will go into detail discussing more about feral hog later. However, if you decide that you really want to hunt white-tailed deer, you already have a good browse. You just need to focus on keeping the habitat productive to maintain healthy browse. To do this, you might consider logging old growth to make room for new growth, and clearing this will also clear the canopy for browsable shrubs and trailing vegetation. However, you may want to reconsider logging after hearing about the conservation easement objective. For your sustainable forestry objective, we found that logging timber for profit is not recommended. You mostly have species that would be used for pulpwood, which is not very profitable. If you want to consider logging in the future, you need to focus on maintaining a viable oak component, which would be profitable. However, once again, you may want to reconsider after learning more about the wetland reserve easement, where harvesting wood products is limited. For conservation easement opportunities, it is highly recommended to consider obtaining a wetland reserve easement through the National Resource Conservation Service. Since you've inherited the land, you can immediately register the property after providing a clear title and written recordable access rights. You will have the choice between a permanent easement or a 30-year easement. For the permanent easement, the USDA will pay for 100% of your restoration efforts, and for the 30-year easement, the USDA will pay for 75% of restoration efforts. However, if you apply, you will not be able to apply for any other USDA easements. You would also have to remove any permanent structures, which may or may not include the shed. The only downside I see is that you will not be able to cut vegetation or harvest wood products unless you have a compatible use permit that says that you are doing so to protect or enhance wetlands. So harvesting hay may not be allowed anymore. For your fourth objective, restoring ecosystem function, it is suggested that you remove fragmentation from levees and remove poor water control structures on your property. Removing poor water control structures will allow for the restoration of natural drainage and flow achieved by wetlands, streams, and canals on the property. Removing the pizza slice levees will decrease fragmentation, which is the driving force of biodiversity and productivity loss. For Objective 5, Conservation of Species, I recommend that you focus on optimizing the land for black rail. Black rail are secretive birds that are federally threatened. Between 2010 and 2017, only a small number of individuals were found in Louisiana. Black rail feed mostly on aquatic beetles, spiders, snails, and small crustaceans. On the property, they can feed on aquatic beetles, crawfish, and spiders. They forage in salt, brackish, and salt marshes that are mostly shallow and sometimes deep. They require dense vegetation that does not get too high, so maintaining medium to low vegetation is vital to conserving this species. For your sixth objective of understanding and promoting bottomland hardwood systems, it is recommended that you focus on Prothonotary warblers. They are common indicators of healthy bottomland hardwood systems and are found on your property. Prothonotary warblers are often found nesting in cavities near inundated wooded areas. Habitat sustainability indexes of Prothonotary warblers are extremely high in this area. In a range of 0 to 1, Prothonotary warbler HSIs are 0.9218 across forest stands, indicating that they are well suited to live here. To further promote this species, keep overstory species such as willows, maples, sweet gum, willow oak, ashes, elms, river birch, and bald cypress trees. These are common overstory nesting habitat. For the seventh objective of other hunting and recreational opportunities, feral hog hunting is recommended, as feral hog are invasive, and hunting them would reduce them rutting and increase habitat for other species. This property also has great opportunity for birding, as there is a high number of bird density along the edges of this property. Birding is also appropriate for all ages and can be utilized for future generations as well. For your final wildland objective, you could further utilize the land for future generations by upkeeping the land and returning it to a somewhat wild state, suitable for all recreational activities. It is recommended that the bridge be rebuilt to make the property easier for younger and older people to access. It is also recommended to remove the barbed wire along the back of the pasture to make it safer and return the land to a more wild state. Thank you for your time and for the opportunity to manage your property, Dr. Suggs.